Adam and Eve. Did they actually exist according to the Bible? And as this article states, did they prove that Adam and Eve are not real and are just made by existing legends? I went searching, and this is what I found. First, the claim Adam and Eve did not exist is not a new argument. In fact, this existed for centuries, not decades, centuries. There's been people who didn't believe in a literal Adam and Eve even during the church age, despite this being the mainstream belief until the scientific revolution. Second, they never possessed Adam's DNA. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say why Adam. Actually, they made it using a computer program consisting of 70 men from different parts of the world. The more people they added, the further back in time they could go, and DNA evidence does indeed suggest that these couple were part of a larger group. Third, there's no evidence of these people ever using women in their study. Why is that? You mean to tell me that with this data and testing, they didn't use 70 women from the same group as the men? That fact alone is suspicious. Finally, you have rock dating, which includes radiocarbon. And as I already said before, radiation makes rock minerals an unstable at best defense. The sun, magnetars, nova, supernova, nuclear power plants, volcanism. Radiation speeds the rate of decay. You have all this radiation, and you seriously trust in mineral readings? Oh, wait. They have a chart in order to make it easier. Whatever readings for a particular object doesn't agree with the chart, it's discarded and will not be published. I just gave you a brief summary of what mainstream science does when it comes to understanding how old something is, where they get their dates, and why and when it's published. Sound familiar? We call it showing favorites. What? How is it showing favorites? Well, quite simply, because you can't pick and choose which mineral readings get to be disclosed to the public and which don't. You need to update the information in your geological chart if there's a finding that contradicts your geologic history or theory. You need to disclose all the data, and if that is so, you need to rewrite it. Picking and choosing data according to a chart places too much power within the people, but not what the fossil findings themselves actually reveal. Before mineral readings, mainstream science already had a geological chart based on man-made theories assigned by a particular order, but with mineral readings, this has resulted in updates to this chart, including the length of the said ages. Now, am I saying that they regularly find T-Rex fossils in the same layers as mammoths or human fossils in Mesozoic layers? I wouldn't be surprised if they do, and I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they covered those findings up by dismissing them as hoaxes, but I can't prove that's true. So going back to this DNA analysis, it's pretty obvious that these are not the actual Adam and Eve despite only being 6,000 years old. And yes, they are descendants of the people who spread out from Mesopotamia. Oh wait, sorry, I meant Africa. Not Mesopotamia, Africa. But does that disprove a literal Adam and Eve? It does. That is, if you exclude ancient history and religion from the equation of natural sciences, but otherwise no. It could just mean that the actual Adam and Eve were much older, but that would still place emphasis on ancient history, so their testimony doesn't matter apparently. Only natural sciences do. Says who? Honest question. Who's the authority that decided it was a good idea to separate natural sciences from ancient history and religion? Well, as history taught us, the truth is controversial. You have all these creation myths and great flood myths. You have all these religions with conflicting stories. And on top of that, You have an ancient text that stands out from others, yet still very similar in elements. I'm of course talking about Christianity and the Bible. You also have people who are anti-religious and do not tolerate the idea of a god or gods. Can you imagine how disastrous the scientific community would be if all these ideas were present? So in order to keep people from tearing each other apart, how can we make sure that all those ideas are presented in a way so that there is not much controversy? So what does all of this mean? Adam and Eve have been explained away according to their belief, and that belief is naturalism. Adam and Eve, as well as creation and a global flood, are key elements in ancient history, not just Christianity. Although it's not accepted in mainstream science, it is indeed scientific to resort to supernatural explanations for the origin of mankind. And the perfect way to get you to leave this alone is by perverting the word science. And since science now only applies to natural sciences, the supernatural is seen as invalid. Ancient history is now a mystery that we can never understand. In the meantime, we have to use natural process to build a worldview that everyone can agree on. And I mean everyone, even Christians. But that doesn't make it true. Evolution denier? You said it, not me. I never said evolution did not occur or hasn't occurred. But with an all-powerful supreme God, you don't need billions of years. I don't get what's so difficult to understand. He could have sped up evolution supernaturally, or he could have made them distinctly. By the way, I vote the first option. Yeah, but the evidence says otherwise. Does it? Does it really? Or are you interpreting that as evidence? See, there's a difference between actual evidence and interpreting something as evidence. Am I saying God didn't use evolution? No. But what about feathered dinosaurs and birds? You mean the non-avian feathered dinosaurs? I don't doubt that these are exactly what they are, but does that mean birds descended from a lineage that made them? Yes, the similarities do give the idea that they really did descend from dinosaurs, but also no, because birds could have easily been made entirely separate from the sea and land animals with their own unique evolution, even if they are similarities. Well, it's not God's fault that naturalists interpret it as descending from a common ancestor. That's why we have the Bible and other ancient texts. But no, that's invalid because it's not natural sciences. Wait, how did I get from talking about Adam and Eve to evolution? And does this even matter? Yes, it does matter. And perhaps I got to evolution because naturalists see humans as nothing more than an animal instead of something entirely different. Dear Christians, you need to understand that you're not compromising with science. You're compromising with the philosophy that states only naturalism is absolute truth. And if you're going to do that, you're compromising on a spiritual worldview, and you're compromising on God. I strongly encourage you to watch my video, Fact versus Fiction, Ancient History. You need to understand what science actually is and not just merely natural process alone.